Hey people, long time no see. I've been away. I've been very busy. I don't do YouTube as a job, so I got a little strung up with other stuff. I'm happy to be back. I'm always open to make more videos. We'll see if the ideas keep coming to me. But today, I got something that's a little bit special to my heart. If you're a connoisseur of spicy foods like me, you've probably had hot Cheetos, or the extra hot Cheetos, or the Limon hot Cheetos, or the spicy cheddar hot Cheetos. But you've also probably had something like Takis, which is I think less common in stores, but arguably just as good. And I eat these, I don't want to say commonly, but as much as someone probably should. The problem is the dust. The dust always leaves a mark on your hand, and that's a huge issue. And I hate it because any of your colleagues or any other spicy chip eating individual can immediately identify what you've been doing. And so you're quite literally caught red-handed, but sometimes for days after because it stains your hand red. And so I've always wondered, you know, this doesn't wash off too easily with water. So it's got to be a relatively non-polar chemical. So maybe, just maybe, I could transfer that to a solvent and make a nice little pretty picture out of it and treat it like a paint. So let's find out. My mortar and pestle is a bit stained there with some charcoal, but that shouldn't really affect what we're doing. So, time to load it up with our Takis here, as much as I think I can grind, and then we'll start grinding. I don't really know what I'm doing. Okay. I'll add a little bit more to it here. I don't want to overload it, though I think I might have already done that. Yeah, this is fairly powdered. It's not as powdered as it probably could be, but I don't really have a large enough mortar right now to get all this stuff, so that's okay. All right, so I'll use some glassware to get my pigmentation out here. Now, you know that the dye doesn't really wash off with water very easy. So what I'm thinking is I'll probably do this in the liquid separation style, where I'll add water to this and then I'll extract the dye using maybe like toluene or something. Since toluene, xylenes, these are pretty common solvents for paints, then that'll be a nice way to apply it to a surface afterwards. We'll just see what happens, all right? There we go. So that should be sufficient for our purposes. Pretty good. You can see my fingers are already exemplifying my frustration with the pigmentation, so I'm gonna have a fun time cleaning those out. But this is a good amount. So now I'll add some nice water to the mix here. In theory, this should dissolve a lot of the sugars and salts and whatever else is in this. So what I think I'll do is give this a reasonable stir here. It's in my name after all, and I can already see that the water is turning colored here. My only hope is that the colored pigmentation, of course, is more soluble in something like toluene than it is in water. Otherwise, this will all be for naught. I don't know if it's just me, if it's the solids going to the bottom and the pigmentation going to the top, but the top surface looks a lot more dark than the bottom. And I wonder if that's density or if that's just my imagination. So I lied, I don't have toluene, but I do have the next best thing, which are hexanes. That should be a little bit less polar than toluene, but that's okay. We'll try our hardest. Add that in. Water and hexane should not have any chance of mixing here, and I can already see there's like a biphasic system coming on here, which the top layer, in which is hexanes, being less dense, sitting on top of the water layer, and indeed I see that it's looking nice and red, which tells me that I might have been right. So now I'll essentially extract the hexane from this by decanting it off or pouring it into the larger container without pouring any of the water underneath. And I might have to do this several times. That's okay. Add some more hexanes to continue. And pour it. Okay, I spilled a little bit there, but we're going to be okay. Need to add a little bit more hexanes here in round 3. I'm going to be using the last of my supply, unfortunately. I think the hexane layer at the top there is looking a little bit less concentrated, which is good, showing us that I think we're extracting what we have in there pretty well. So I think I'll make this the last pour. I think what I'm going to try to do is heat this up and try and boil off some of the excess hexane so that we have a bit more of a concentrated solution to work with. Add our container, add our stir bar, and let's let it go. So I got impatient and I transferred the solvent to a glass beaker. That way there's just better heat transfer overall. So hopefully that should speed things up. At this point it's really boiling, so I'll probably just leave it here for a few minutes and that will reduce the volume quite a bit. We're making fine progress now, probably about halfway. I've also added the remainder of the solid that didn't fit in the beaker before, so we're looking pretty good and nice and concentrated, and I'm going to assume that it's probably a bit more viscous right now, but who knows. Okay, so we've reached pretty much the maximum I want to go, so I'm going to take it off of heat now. Alright, so I've got a sufficiently red solution of hexanes here, so now for that special time when I dip a standard paintbrush and hope that everything works as I expected it to. Okay. Well, I meant to draw a heart, but that may be the worst heart of all time. Well, I did it. I cut it out. I can honestly say this smells like Takis, which is kind of weird. I feel this is a redemption of all the times I've been caught red-handed. I don't know what exactly I'm going to do with this. I suppose I could wait until February to give it as a Valentine's card, but the nature of what's exactly in this might be that it goes bad. I've never had a Valentine that went bad, but well, I guess that could be described as middle school. But anyway, there's several other chips out there that, you know, there's a wide range of the different colors that they use. And I'm sure there's quite a bit of like food products in general that someone could extract the colors from. So if one were to extrapolate this experiment, then you could probably do any color imaginable. I just happened to use red in this one, and I think it worked out pretty well. So let that be a lesson learned. Just buy some non-polar solvent and get to work. All right, I'll see you next time. Okay, one last note here. The water layer of these chips is absolutely soggy and nasty, and that's really gross. It has the same texture as maybe like shredded beef. So yeah, I'll be throwing this away.